what you can do. The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark. With every move I make, you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark. With every breath we take, you're falling. I ain't got no time for romance, but baby I don't want to lead you on. Not looking for something steady, not ready for that. I'm the best thing that has ever happened to you. Here's your time to shine, or show me what you can do. Make a move. The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark. With every move I make, you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark. With every breath we take, you're falling. Every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making, every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making, I'm the best thing that has ever happened to you. Here's your time to shine, or show me what you can do. Make a move. The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark. With every move I make, you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark. With every breath we take, you're falling. Every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making, every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making.
Calvert does a bit of dancing in the backfield, gets free, then quickly delivered. Second officer is there. Murphy Curran with the goal. Great defensive play to get it back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is showtime. Rising high, the 15th edition of this traditional Delft tournament. We are in the Winter Wonderland edition. Luckily for everyone, the weather has not been as brutal and lethal as yesterday. We have the lower pool or rising division final here for you on the stream on pitch number 1. Copenhagen Hucks facing off the Germans Frühsport. So who is it going to be, Denmark or Germany? White or purple? My name is Rachel Toshnerova, and as it is the case the whole weekend, it is a family affair with John Doherty behind the mic with me. We're also just going to quickly mention Milan helping us with the production and doing a great job on the camera all tournament long. The Copenhagen Hucks are facing off the German zone defense, getting really close to the end zone now. So far a clean hold for them. This is the first point of the rising final. Wind has come and gone throughout the day, and the two teams trying to make the best of it. Oh, and just like that, they make use of their really tall receiver. That is number 94, Callison. I don't think that's Callison. I have just corrected the numbers, but it seems like the changes have not popped through just yet.
Yeah, we were corrected in the last game by the YouTube comments, so apologies if we haven't got a chance to update it. But like I said, we've already had Copenhagen Hucks on the stream in the last game, so this is their second stream of the day. And yesterday we had Frühsport here, and both these teams had different fortunes yesterday. I believe Frühsport yesterday, we had them on the stream against Tribe. They started in the higher pools in this tournament. So if you're talking about rising and falling, you could say perhaps they're one of the slight fallers at this, but playing in the 9th place game, they didn't fall down that much. Copenhagen Hucks, on the other hand, I believe they started in the lower pool, so if they were to win this, they would indeed be rising through the tournament unless they came in exactly as a 9th seed. But we've seen both these teams on the stream already. Both have looked really good at times, and if the wind stays at this level, it's going to still be, we're expecting a good game. Hopefully it doesn't pick up too much and become like yesterday. And if it stays at this level, we should get a pretty good competitive game here.
So first time O-line point for Frühsport. It looks like match D from the Danish. Habering going through the break side to Ding. Centering and swinging the disc. Oh, and the long outstretched arm of Sigurd Andersen gets the first D of the game. And the Copenhagen Hucks enjoy some break potential. Lefty forehand to the far sideline. They're getting close with a little bit of a height advantage. It could make all the difference in the end zone. Quick upline cut to Andersen. He will go for the dump pass. And the disc just lands on the ground as it bounces off the fingers of the intended receiver. That is a lovely backhand shot. Will it have enough air underneath? No, it won't. The intended receiver unable to get there.
Just slightly overthrown there. It was the right idea. Just this wind pushing that disc down a small bit. I think if he can tilt the front of that up a small bit more next time, that'll have the right amount of float, because this player was wide open. Weber, one of the more aggressive players on this team yesterday on offense. One of their more consistent players, I think.
Second effort catch from Lovies. Lovies. He is Canadian, actually. It's a nice step around by Ganas. But here is Torben Stottmeister, who couldn't run down that deep shot earlier, and now he's getting the D for his team. So one more chance for Frühsport. Big swing, the defense gets there, but can we get a second chance? No, despite the layout bid, the disc ends up on the ground. Frühsport find themselves once more on D. Good pressure from Copenhagen now. Trying to earn the first break of the game. A little examination of the disc first. It looks like one of the players landed on it.
Yeah, and just to confirm, in this one, it's Frühsport versus Copenhagen. I believe we have panic up, as that was it's just been changed now. So if you're a bit confused, it's been sorted now. Just so you know, this is a German v Danes final.
Andersen to receive the dump pass, and he's going for the upline, moving the disc quickly, and he also released that one a bit quickly. And once again, we see Weber trying to run that down. He's been doing a great job sort of reacting to the turnovers and quickly striking deep.
Yeah, just unfortunate there. He was free and his receiver was picking it up, but the force stopped the initial hook, and then Weber started to come back under as the thrower got the throw off. So just a bit unfortunate. They went a bit too fast. It was free. I think even if Weber had kept going deep, you might have said he was cutting too deep, but the thrower put it anyway, and just an unfortunate miscommunication if you're rooting for Frühsport in this game.
And here's Hucks on the near sideline, nervously looking for options. They do get it through the break side into Anderson. Anderson with a big put to Lovies.
Slips, but luckily had another player there to pick it up.
Anderson and Lovies getting every other on this point. It is a tough ask with the ever-changing wind on pitch 1. First half you're going upwind and all of a sudden it's downwind. It takes a lot of experience and practice to get everything right. Anderson examining options in the end zone. He's going to dish out for the inside channel, and it's a good decision. That's a break for Hucks. They go up early.
Yeah, really nice inside break throw there in this wind. Laser straight to the break side. His player catches it. I think if you're in neutral, and if you've been following the scores of the tournament, you might say this is maybe around the ideal start to the game. I think yesterday, looking at Frühsport in the wind, I felt like they were pretty confident on the disc, and we've seen Copenhagen Hucks in the last game, but we haven't seen them really tested by the weather conditions. So I would have slightly favoured Frühsport maybe coming into this game, purely based on the fact that I've seen them already deal with the wind. Even in a game where they lost, they looked confident in these conditions, and I wasn't sure how Copenhagen Hucks would react to the slightly windier conditions. So I would say maybe a slightly better start for Copenhagen Hucks based on my initial presumptions coming into the game. This would be a good scoreline for me to start with and say, if I say the game starts now, I think it would be pretty close. But maybe I'm wrong about Copenhagen Hucks and the wind will suit them more, and if that's the case, maybe they might end up pulling away with this. We've been a bit cursed on the stream so far.
So what John is saying is that he knows nothing.
Perhaps.
That is a high disc brought down well by Breitzmann. And that is an unfortunate overthrow. And not the type of offense Frühsport have drawn up for this point. Hucks to pick up. It's Gul with a high disc, but luckily he has a high receiver as well. We've got it corrected now. It is Nielsen. He will go backwards, and a beautiful continuation into the end zone through the break side, and it is indeed Callison with the score.
Yeah, dealing with the wind there helps when you're about 9 foot tall. I should have also realized, I guess, from Denmark that they're going to be a bit maybe more used to the wind than I should have.
They have Hucks in their name.
Yeah.
Like the Germans have sport in their name, but you know, and early.
I don't know what Fru means. I don't know what Fru means. Early sport. So let's see if it's not that early in the day here yet, though. But
anymore, yeah, they're all about the morning game.
And not the early start they wanted either. So perhaps a sign of things to come. But yesterday they looked pretty good at times. So I think just a little unlucky at the start here. And again, I know the Danes just scored there, but would have been a turnover if it was maybe a normal-sized human being, but a pretty tall one here.
So the Hucks getting their confidence up, but we know the Germans have it in them to do better. They are staying composed with the single clap to get the point started. It's gonna be Ding to pick up. The steady handler figure for Frühsport. Finding Breitzmann, but a deep shot defended. These Danes are all arms and legs, and they like to get them in the way of passes. If we're incorrect about any of the names, I'm going to be really annoyed because I tried to do a good job double checking the rosters and the numbers with both of the teams. So this is not on me this time.
Yeah, and
anyway, looks like a bit of a zony look from Frühsport. Lots of poaching and getting in the way from Weber again. He's bringing loads of energy for the Germans right now. Love it. So far, just a lot of swinging from the men in purple. Anderson gets it in the break side, calling on to his teammates to come closer. Oh, and a lasery flick just bounces off the chest of the intended receiver. One more chance for the Germans. Oh, and an overthrow on the first pass. It's probably a bit frustrating now. And as the planes buzz over the field, Copenhagen Hucks find themselves on offense once more. Regnerholm to the near sideline. Big fake by Saro for the deep shot. They don't take it, instead go backwards to Anderson. The German zone doing a good job forcing a lot of passes out of the Danes. But the handlers are staying composed. Oh, and a low grab. It is collected. That was a highlight play by Copenhagen. Anderson's got the disc again on the far sideline. No rush decisions are being made. He's there with Garnes. Oh, and that one. He just looked around. Lovely's just looked around to see where the disc ended up. It was in between his legs. There's Frühsport and Kerklo. Looking for the up line, and he gets it in the hands of Habering. Lots of pressure downfield from the Danes. Germans forced to go backwards. They managed to get the dump and swing off Weber. Disc on the ground.
Yeah, lots of turns here, and you probably can't see it on the camera now, but I think we'd call them dandelions in Ireland, the little white floaty bits of weeds floating through the air and imitating snow as the timeout gets called here. And it confirms what we've said all weekend, that if you look on different parts of the field, the wind just seems to be blowing in different directions. And you could say maybe with their winter Wonderland team, the little flights, white floating snow looking pieces
are fitting it nicely. Exactly.
You can't see them at home, but maybe that's planned.
As the teams huddle up, we're going to take a short break in the commentary booth ourselves and leave us with some promos.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ulti.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
ulti.TV bringing you the coverage of the Rising Height tournament here in Delft, Netherlands. We've got the Rising Division final on our hands. Copenhagen Hucks coming in strong for the start of this game, facing off the Germans from Frühsport. They are looking to add another break to their account. Frühsport trying to stop them desperately with a bit of a zony, poachy look. It is indeed slowing the Danish down, but so far they are still to reach that desired turnover, ideally in this half of the field still, but the safe hands of Andersen and his other handler colleagues, Rigneholm and Gannes, are slowly but surely moving their team forward. Looking for the holes in the wall. Trying to continue with some crashes as well. Oh, and here's the nice gainer to Gibbons. And of course, as they get moving quickly, the disc is pushed to the ground. We've got some up and down word pointing fingers, but Weber will stay with the disc. And as there is another turnover, he will cheer on his teammates to apply the pressure once more and keep working hard. And here is the desired turnover. Two receivers almost colliding on the far sideline, trying to collect that pass. And
exchanging some quick turnovers there as they check the disc.
The white fluff from the nearby trees resembling too perfectly the snow, and finishing up the atmosphere of the Winter Wonderland edition here is Weber getting high for that disc. And he gets it again in front of the end zone. That is a deserved score for Jonas Weber. He's been doing a big chunk of work for Frühsport on defense, and deservingly he gets to score this point for them.
Yeah, I think both teams to some degree will be a little happy with that point. Frühsport obviously, because they got on the board, they've got their score, but I think they've figured out a way to slow down the Danish offense with the zone, and I think if they can keep that zone getting the turns or slowing down the offense, they'll get enough chances to get some scores. So they did manage to get the hold this time, but I think what we're going to see now is they're going to need to do it the other way as well and improve their offense. But for Copenhagen Hucks in that last point, they did seem pretty confident throwing the disc around, but I feel there was only one or two times where they really looked like they were progressing through the zone. So again, the zone did its job, it slowed them down, but Copenhagen didn't necessarily struggle to complete passes, so if they can make one or two adjustments to get through the zone, I think they'll eventually find those gaps. So it's just a case of can they do that or not.
A horizontal setup for the Hucks. They've got Stanford Hu with that big pass as they reset to Gul. Now Callison making things easy for me with the hat and the silver chain. Who's gonna go through the first cup? Backward to Gul. And Gul signaling that there's a wide open Müller on the near sideline. Hucks doing a good job really opening up the spaces in the German defense. Gul not afraid to go backwards, they swing it wide. Who with a huge shot into the end zone, but who's gonna get there? Anyone? No one. Misread by about 4 players on that field. It did sort of change direction a little bit towards the near sideline,
Yeah, I think maybe two of the Copenhagen Hucks players might have gotten each other's way there. A big misread by the big man.
Yeah, usually Nielsen would get there, I think. In any case, that's the turnover Frühsport needed. And the safe hands of Bertram, one of the most experienced handlers. He's also, I think, played for the German national team. I think I recognize his face from other streams. This might be the only chance they need for the break score. There will be a couple of people underneath it. Oh, and the defense says no. Nice shot, though, in this difficult wind. It had that inside edge on it, but it was just a little too slow, allowing Copenhagen to get the D.
Yeah, I thought when it went up it was going to drift away to the offensive player who was kind of peeling off the back of the stack, but it just didn't, and the defender just able to swat it down as well. So good job there by the defender in a slightly more difficult position than it looked to get that block.
Props to Müller for that defense. And here is another D. This time Nielsen misreading the disc once more, I think. And Bertram will get another shot. Finds Zilov. And they continue through the break side. Zilov gets it in the middle. Back to Bertram. Bertram examining the options downfield. Look at that step around. That is perfect form. And he asks the discs again in the center. And he gets the up line once more from Essa. Here is the hammer. But Nielsen makes sure he gets another chance in the deep space on the other side of the pitch as he knocks the disc down, this time reading it perfectly.
Yeah, reads that one correctly and make sure he gets it, because if he misread that one, we would have got our upwind break for Frühsport. So probably more important he got that one than got the last ones.
Looks like there will be a travel call potentially. Sending Gould back to the end zone line where he taps the disc in. Oh, what was... Oh, okay. I got very confused about what has happened there, but Copenhagen is keeping possession, going in different directions. Grönemeyer Nielsen with a big put, the defenders there, and this time it is misread by Callison, who maybe could have gotten into the right spot on time. But Frühsport wastes no time. Essa with a gainer to Zilov, and they continue down the sideline. And knowing the Germans, they will want to change the angle of attack and move towards our camera, but now the stall count's getting high. Experienced move. Lovely stuff. There's a completely free upline cut from Bertrand. And he's gonna get that upline. No, the poaching defender is gonna get in the way. Good look by Müller.
Potentially calling maybe a dangerous play. I think he got a bit of a fright by that defender coming in. Defender doesn't bid, so it does make it a bit tricky, because you might know as a defender that you're not going to make that play, but sometimes the offensive player just sees you there and they're not sure. And I think he's saying maybe I would lay out for that and catch it, but I didn't want to risk the contact. And it's one of those rules in the sport where I think it's hard to really come to the right conclusion here, because both players might feel like they're completely entitled to do what they did.
Yeah, I think like Müller did a good job getting there early, sort of. And even though he was moving at the time at the moment, I think he definitely was kind of there in the area, sort of stationary, or like he wasn't moving into the lane or into the player trying to get the disc. But it looks like the turnover will stand.
Yeah, my view on those is, as the offensive player, you should catch it and kind of trust that the defender will pull out
Callison, surrounded by white shirts. The corner by the end zone line. Oh, and now they get it off to Nielsen. But not making much progress getting away from that line. They're gonna crash the cup again. Oh, and that one is caught. Incredible reflexes by Kolkenbrock. Sorry, that was Cool rather. And a high put. Oh my God, what a grab by Callison. He gets that moving and he continues to Chen. And this Frühsport zone really making Copenhagen Hucks struggle. Gould getting the disc in the dump space, thinking about the inside channel, but completely denied by Stottmeister. Well, I have to say it does look like a really good strategy from Frühsport. They are forcing so many passes out of these Danish. Nielsen, back to goal. They're gonna exchange a couple of passes, wait for Callison to get open. He doesn't take the inside channel, waits for the crash. Gould thinks about the wide cross throw, and he goes for the overhead throw, and oh my God, surprise, surprise, who's there? The tall frame of Nielsen getting the score for Copenhagen after a long struggle and a long point.
And had a pretty good view of the angle of release on that, and either that was one of the best hammers I've ever seen thrown judging the win to take this player, or he was aiming for the exact opposite side of the field, which I'm not entirely sure, because the way he released it, it would make me think he was aiming for the far side of the field, but the flight path of it, it did suggest maybe that he was looking for that player. But if that was aimed at the receiver who caught it, then that is one of the least technically well but well executed hammers I've ever seen to get to the receiver with that kind of flight path.
Well, it's not really that hard when you think about it. Nielsen stated that his height is exactly 2 meters, so I guess that really helps. And he's only been playing for 2 years, so that is some impressive bits of play that we've seen out of him.
And I think when it comes to that would point out something. I think the first team that starts to get a good read on some of these floaty discs is going to have an advantage. The Copenhagen guys missed a couple in the last point and a few Frühsport ones, so I think that's the biggest adjustment either team can make right now, is getting a better read on the disc, because there's going to be a lot of those floaty ones, and I think that could end up being a very decisive factor in this game, just who catches those floaty throws that are misread by everyone else.
Ding and Weber starting us off on this Frühsport 0 point. Nice toe-in by Darup. He's going to find El Kawabi as we hear the halftime jingle go off. We're nowhere near that point-wise, but having these 60-minute time slots means that there will just be half at 30 minutes regardless. Weber looking for the continuation in the end zone. They are now going downwind, and this defender once again denies the last pass. A bit of a rush decision maybe by Frühsport.
Yeah, I think the wind just picked up the speed in that. I think he was looking for the inside throw, and it's not an easy throw to throw it soft in this wind, so he just slightly overthrew his receiver and straight into the Danish defender's hands.
So we will see if the last point of this half will be in favor of the purple shirts, or if the German zone will work its wonders once again.
Yeah, I think with this German zone, what they might be better off doing is pushing in a bit more and kind of saying we're not really afraid of this hook, which gets thrown now.
Who's going to be the one catching it? Oh, the defense sort of gets there on time, but Saro closes its hands around the disc, and he's got Anderson ready to roll in front of the end zone. Copenhagen Hucks very close to take the half. Quick move down the line, Anderson. Floaty disc, but tall frames. Getting lucky. quick upline shot. Is there somebody on the front of the end zone line? Anderson once again. He's got the upline, but a foul called on that throw, immediately accepted by Jeffrey Ding. And Anderson will do the exact same thing again, and that's a score for Peter Gannes.
Yeah, and I think in that one, I know as soon as I said don't be afraid of the deep shots, the deep shot went up and they caught it, but I think that defender in the zone could have pushed in about 10 meters more and still been able to make up those yards and have the same chance at a bit on that. So I think the best chance for Frühsport in this second half with the zone is to push in more, apply more pressure.
A 1 minute break for the halftime, and we'll be back soon. Checking out now.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ulti.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Work with him a lot, I guess.
Luckily. I feel like we do well with the baby, so that's the main thing, I guess. Welcome to the second half of action of the lower final in the Rising Division. We are here at pitch number 1. It is showtime. We've got 2 more finals coming up after this one, the women's one and the open one in the high division, so to speak. Copenhagen Hucks so far doing a slightly better job getting the disc into the end zone, but Frühsport slowly finding their way to claw back into the game using their highly effective zone and some lovely breaks like this one as they start this punt on. Oh, and look at that forehand flick. That's gotta be chased down. Yes, it is, and it will be called in. It is Roland Bertram with the score, usually on the throwing side, but this time he gets his buddy Tobias Esser on the assist. And that is a quick, clean score for Frühsport, a much-needed addition to their score line.
Yeah, I thought initially they missed the opportunity to hit him when they looked back to center the disc instead of looking downfield, but that was a really nicely weighted flick hook. Not an easy throw in these wind conditions. You have to really put it inside out and get lots of spin on it. And then I even thought maybe the receiver let it run past him too much, but he knows his own speed better than I do, and he runs it down pretty comfortably in the back corner. And much needed score for Frühsport, and I think we're going in. It's difficult for them now because they're playing slightly upwind this point, so I'm not sure if their zone is going to have the same level of success as it could playing the other way. So perhaps they're going to have to do some aggressive match defense this way and maybe do some zone defense where they push the 7 players in on top of the Copenhagen Hucks when Copenhagen are playing upwind. I think that might be Frühsport's best chance to get back into this game. Use the wind as an 8th defender when you have it as to your advantage, and just try and grind and get some of those turns when the wind is not on your side.
And here's another pull from the Germans. Let's see if they stick with the zone. Yes, they do. Weber leading the arrowhead there. Nielsen with Callison and Gould. Gould was looking at Nielsen there, but then they decided to work it around. Once again, Purple forced to take a lot of passes. not making much progress, and it looks like there's a stoppage on the play.
Yeah, and I think this is an example of the zone. What Frühsport need to consider doing a bit different is you can see it here on the camera. The deep in the zone just needs to push in more. He's 10 meters deep of the deepest player, and realistically, it's anything that any of those players will beat you deep on is going to be something you have a bid on anyway. So if I was Frühsport here, I would just say, hey, let's just pull in our extra defender, make them throw that deep shot. And perhaps they're worried about the height of the Copenhagen Hucks team, but we've seen that their reading of the disc when it's floaty and coming down at an angle hasn't been so great. So I just wouldn't worry about them shooting it deep. If they do it and they get it, good for them. But I guess they get the turn anyway.
Oh yes, and a quick score. It's Weber again picking up the disc and making sure that the defense has no chance to set up. Nielsen did not expect that pass, and that is the exact break that Frühsport were looking for. Good on them to stick with their game plan, knowing that they might eventually force the turnover with the zone. And that was a really quick reaction out of Weber. And first break for Frühsport.
Yeah, they really needed that one to keep the game close now. And I think, like I said, if you were neutral in this game, what you might have wanted was Copenhagen Hucks to maybe go 1 or 2 points up at the start. I felt like after what I'd seen yesterday, I felt like Frühsport seemed the more likely team to be able to work in these conditions. But Copenhagen Hucks have shown in this game that they're able to do it also. So perhaps maybe I gave Frühsport a slightly too much of a favoritism of their chances at the start. But I do still think that if the scoreline was the other way around, I think it would be less likely of a comeback. But I do think Frühsport are definitely a team capable of coming back into this game if they can keep getting those defensive turns that they've started to get now, or being close to a lot of the time.
So the pull length is out of bounds as the German sideline gets loud. Lots of support from their female counterparts for Frühsport out of UDO, I believe. Both teams coming out of Cologne, Germany. If I'm saying that wrong, please feel free to correct me in the chat. We love to interact with you. Thanks for tuning in and watching our streams. And the Hucks crossing the halfway line. High release backhand for Anderson. Oh! Bertram trying to get into the mix. Get a hand on that. Slowly but steadily, purple moving through white towards the end zone. There's quite some side wind right now, but it does not seem to affect the throws. Will that be a jump in? Not quite. And here is the last pass and a clean hold for Hucks.
Yeah, I don't really want to sound like a broken record here again, but I just think when you're the Frühsport defense, you just can't basically allow this Copenhagen team to just try and pass all these unders. They've shown at this stage now that they're capable of throwing a lot of these passes. In the first half, they were struggling to move it forward. Now they're starting to move it forward, and you really need to shift your defense to get them throwing something else upwind. Perhaps they're happy to just say, hey, look, if they throw all these short passes in their own half, maybe we can generate some turns and short field turns, and we'd prefer them not to hook. But once they get into the second half, I think you just need to say, hey, let's just push up on top of the disc, get everyone around the disc, force them to throw an overhead, force them to make a difficult throw and use the wind to our advantage, because otherwise I don't really see where the turns are going to come from. I know on the last point, Copenhagen just turned in front of their end zone, but I don't think you're going to get too many turns like that based on what we've seen from them so far. And Frühsport do need to make a comeback here, so they can't afford to just get 1 or 2 of them. They need to get a couple more than that.
We are entering the last third of the game. So if Frühsport want to stay alive, I would say that this might be one of the most important points in the game for them to score and then really focus on defense, potentially getting more breaks to even out the score a little bit. There is Mishka going back to the handler, and a nice brought down disc by Breitzmann. He tried to step around, but instead goes to Weber on the near sideline, and Weber with those slow release forehands. He needs to make sure that he lifts them up a little bit, but then again, he is making up for any errant throws with his attitude.
Yeah, he's just a bit unfortunate there, annoyed with himself. I think he's definitely one of the players in this team that would expect himself to complete that throw a high percentage of the time.
And no messing around for Copenhagen. Callison puts this one up, and it is read well and brought down by Müller. And just as I say that, they were happy to lose some yards.
Funny, it's basically the opposite of what I thought would happen in the last point. They complete the hook and then drop the short one, so perhaps Frühsport know better than I do.
And here they are again to Ding. Ding tries to continue on that one, and the outstretched arm is not outstretched far enough. So another chance for the Danish. Ding trying to make himself big, preventing that huck off of the first pass. Gul going to the sideline. Lefty backhand is put up. Who's gonna read it better? The defender's there, but doesn't have a chance to find the disc in the air. Callison. Back to Gul. He's come all the way from the other half of the field, and he decides to take a timeout, knowing that this might be the last nail in the coffin if they manage to score this point. So as the teams huddle up for a quick break and briefing, we're going to take a short break in the commentary booth ourselves, checking out.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team mixed division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ulti.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Welcome back after the timeout. We are in the Rising Division final. Copenhagen Hucks having the upper hand in the game against their German opponents, Frühsport. If you are enjoying the coverage of ulti.TV of the Rising High tournament, make sure to follow us for more action, in particular next weekend when we have one of the biggest events from private run tournaments, the London Invite coming up with about 15 games streamed for free online, and then about 30 more games of Elite Ultimate World Games material, as well as the new season of Tokai Super Team available for members and patrons. So if you do enjoy our coverage, we would love to welcome you in our community. And look at that high release, missed by both receivers. So a chance for Frühsport. They really need this clean hold if they want to stay in this game. We are running out of time, and this disc is running out of height because it is on the ground again, and it looks like neither of these teams have used the timeout well enough, I suppose. In order to execute the game plan that they might have discussed. It's Stanford Hu, Martin Gul, and Ulrich Müller in the handler setup. Oh, a wobble on the disc, but luckily saved. And they will keep working together. German wall as steady as it has been the whole game. Now managing to push the Danes backwards. We don't even see the handlers really examining downfield, even though there are some receivers, some very, very tall and capable receivers available. Müller doesn't like the downfield option, goes to Gül. They're calling it Nielsen to come for the swing. Doing an excellent job, by the way, for only playing 2 years. Callison got tired of offering options downfield and comes to exchange a couple of passes, practice a bit of throwing in case he gets the discs eventually. Nielsen doesn't take any chances. Almost looks like the Germans are recognize that Gül is having every other disc and are trying to maybe target him a bit more. Müller. Germans really need to put on a bit more pressure, and just as we say that, it is Breitzmann streaking into the end zone, and he gets the point as well. He was so hyped up from that D that he managed to jump over a defender that was about 20 centimeters higher than him, or whatever. I can't really tell from this angle, but he was definitely higher than him, and that's a hold for Frühsport. And now they can really focus on defense and try to even out the score.
Yeah, it's something I kind of like them doing it as well. They're doing a zone with their O-line on the turn, and I like that approach because often teams talk about their D-line doing zone, and I often say, well, if you think your zone is good enough to stop the other team's O-line, how about you do a zone against their D-line? Because normally a D-line is usually going to be the people who are not very good at playing against a zone. So doing a zone with your O-line is a underrated tactic. I used to always do it with my junior teams because I just presumed, okay, if they're a D-line junior, they're probably not very good at throwing, so let's put a zone on them and make them play against it. So nice to see Frühsport doing it here with the O-line, and if they can get a bit more of that, then they can still come back and win this game.
That is definitely a fair point, but here are Hucks doing what they do best, hucking it. No continuation from Kolkenbrock. And Anderson finding Kolkenbrock again. But it's going to be Rigneholm who can get the next throw off correctly.
Yeah, this one here feels like a big point. I feel it's a slightly up. It's just a very difficult win. It's blowing straight towards us. I think Frühsport need this one. Given how much time is left, I think this could be a critical point in the game now.
Bertram sort of looking around, saying that you need to crush those poaches. Inside channel opens up nicely. Oh, as the disc bounces off the hands of Meyer.
Copenhagen in no rush here to get things going. Can't blame them. They want to secure this spot.
Anderson once more with Ganes. There's Lovies. Oh, Saro, sorry. Now on the far sideline is Saro again. Looks like the Germans are opting for match D now. Loving the matchup between Anderson and Bertram. That was really good coverage for Bertram, but somebody else gets open for Hucks. Again, excellent face guarding. And here is that big forehand into the end zone, and I think that is sort of it. We can see the heads of the Germans hanging low, and like you said, John, I think quite a decisive point with about 8 minutes left on the clock. This could be the end of lower final hopes for Frühsport.
Yeah, I think if this was just to time, I would say it's basically game over now. I do believe though for the finals, this has been treated as a final. There is a prize. You get some silverware for coming ninth in this division for winning your last 3 games. If it's a +1, I still think it's possible. However, if this game was to end on time with the other games, I just don't think it's realistic to expect them to get these 4 points back. A couple of the teams were a little confused about if it's +1 or not this weekend in some of the games, so I'm not entirely sure. But even if it was with the 4-point lead and this win, it's very hard to see them getting the 5 points back they would need to get a win in this game.
Is the score 4-8? What do you have as a score? Yes, right.
So Callison with a huge pull, but Frühsport receive it well and move it to the brick line straight away. Bertram, oh, he couldn't do much about that one. It was turfed straight away. And a short field to work with for Copenhagen. Callison taking his time once again to get to it. They move the disc horizontally to Müller. Callison does not get it. Instead it's Müller with Gül. The match D. I think this is back to the zone. It's just not as cramped and effective against these experienced handlers. And as I say that, there's a high disc misread and defended just to make sure by Daldrup. Bertram has the disc, but takes the slightly riskier shot, but that was a lovely blade crossfield thing. But Habering unable to hold on to that.
Yeah, really nice throw in this win. Just a little unfortunate the receiver wasn't able to hold on to it, but a pretty well executed throw. If it wasn't in such difficult conditions, it'd be an easy completion.
Toby Callison goes for the big forehand to his favorite target, Nielsen, as he gets higher than everyone else, even though this is just the rising division. Who knows what can become of it next year. Oh, and look at that defensive effort. Nielsen now on the other side. This time, it's gonna be the other way around. No, he dropped it. Oh my God. That was...
Or yes, he dropped it. Let's go defense and come back. Sometimes people forget that if you can lay out, I often wonder sometimes why people lay out when the disc is nowhere near them. This is an exact situation where it works out. If you're in between the defender, if you're in between the offensive receiver's line of sight and the disc, laying out can distract them. So this is one time where laying out for a disc you don't think you can do enough. But sometimes you see it where the offensive player doesn't even realize you're laying out. I don't really think those are worth it. But if you think you can just get in their eye line and make them think, and from here we had a perfect view. That looked very close. I was sure he was going to get it. But he potentially keeps this game alive. So let's see.
That's exactly right. Bertram to open up with a big forehand throw, and Weber just getting a little too excited. His energy is showing even on his throws, I would say.
Yeah, I think on that one, if he just steps out a bit wider, he can use the wind to his advantage. Throw it out kind of over the sideline with a slight bit of outside in. You put a lot of spin in that disc will sit a lot longer. I think these players are thinking that, okay, to get a throw completed in the wind, I have to throw it hard, but often you can use the wind to your advantage, especially on the backhand side. You can just get it to sit.
And here's Frühsport getting the D back. I was just going to talk about Weber. He reminds me very much of some of our juniors on our club. I can't quite see his face from here, but I would guess that with his eagerness, he might be one of the younger players on this German squad. Here's Bertram again. He can just throw the disc anywhere on the field, and he does it with grace and purpose. There's Breitzmann. He decides against the deep shot. We'll wait for Weber. Weber is covered. That's okay. There is El Gawabi. And Ding now with the disc. Chooses the slightly lazy backhand, and so does Bertrand. But what do we know if that's the throw that works the best? So close to the end zone now. Ding gets the disc. Bertrand just positioning himself. Oh no, that wide swing. Germans unable to hold that possession, and their coach on the sideline is just showing some frustration, knowing that this was so close again.
Yeah, so maybe just the same mistakes. They're just failing to get the angle of the release right on their disc. They're trying to use power rather than the angle of the disc and a bit more spin to get it where they want to go. So a good learning lesson for them in this game is seeing some of those throws and hopefully taking some of that feedback on board.
Who finding Nielsen, goes straight to Müller. Even though the wind has died out a bit, Hucks deciding against the Hucks and instead go for a four-handler setup against the German zone. Now they have managed to surpass the first cup. Oh my God, Bertrand almost got in the way there. I don't even know how that, it must have gone through his head, I think.
Man is a ghost.
He has a bit of a skinny frame on him. Müller to Callison. Callison this time misses completely. And Bertrand would love to have someone striking deep for him. He finds Weber instead. That is a nice continuation. Can they make it all the way into the end zone? Yes, they can, and that's a score for Frühsport. Very late in the game, but the jingle hasn't gone yet, so they have a chance to make this 6-8 if they can before the game goes into cap. But we will see if the purple shirts are ready to allow that.
Yeah, good to see them getting that one. Tough conditions to be playing again. The wind is kind of coming up and dropping down, but they stuck at that one. They got it back. A couple of nice throws. And again, I thought this game would be a little bit closer from what I saw from Frühsport yesterday. They looked good at times yesterday. Same thing today. At times they look good, but I think it's been a bit of the story with this division is maybe what separates these teams from some of the higher up teams in this bracket, and maybe some of the next stage up in Europe. It's not like when they're playing at their best. A lot of the teams at this, when they look like they're playing at their best, I've been very impressed this weekend at how many of them have handled the conditions, but it's doing it with consistency. And I realize it's maybe sometimes the good points are when your stronger players are on the line, but I think overall it's just been a bit of an inconsistency has been the trend of this weekend from what's decided many games I thought would be close.
If I fail to mention that pitch number 1 is conveniently named Elsa, I was just reminded by the final jingle that we should let the storm rage on, meaning that Frühsport can get the D and add one more point to stay in this lower bracket final and become the champion of the rising division. They'll take a dump pass first, continue through the break site. On the near sideline is Schrottmeister. Finding a wide open Esser. Esser still not aiming for the end zone. They are taking it easy. Zilov. Stottmeister again in front of the end zone for the score is Schulze Brock, and that's another break for Frühsport. We will have a game to 9.
I'm starting to believe in their chances here. I just talked about that inconsistency, and I hadn't really seen it too much in this game from Copenhagen Hucks. Maybe they decided to save it for the end, and potentially for them the worst possible time, and for Frühsport potentially the best possible time for them to start converting. So again, because there's a cap +1 in this game goes on, and Frühsport still in with a chance. And again, 3 points in a row in these conditions. I think this one they're playing slightly down now. This might be the one they can get. I think if they get this one, the next one might decide the game. So I think if they get it to 8-all, they would be favourites to get the last point also.
I think if the games were decided by the number of fans in the chat, it would be the Hucks in this game. For now, they're putting on their best line, one would hope. We are in the cap. 8-6 currently the score. We are playing to 9. Frühsport visibly positive from the last part of this game. They have done a much better job, and it looks like they will try a bit of match D, which is a brave move knowing the size differences in some of these matchups. Nielsen goes to Ganes. Ganes winds up with that lefty backhand. 2 players underneath it. Oh, they misread it both. Can he make it there? Oh my God, so close. Callison.
The wind almost just wanted to ruin Frühsport's day there. I was sure when both those players jumped that neither of them was getting, but suddenly the disc just seemed to sit, and Frühsport wasted no time to getting a goal back, going back the other way here. They want to get this going and take advantage of this turn while they can.
Well, they've got all their best players. They've got Bertrand, they've got Weber. I think
I did not hear the number 10 actually said.
That was an interesting call. That was Chen going to 8, 9, and then saying a stall out instead of the number 10, which technically I think
it was a bit fast as well. That 10 seemed to be coming pretty quick.
I think he sort of yelled out loud 9 and then just went straight into stall out. It is true that
perhaps he said it quietly while tapping his head, but
potentially, but it looks like something is a contested stall out signaled by Bertrand there.
I think that's a fair call. I thought it might have been a little bit fast, but I don't think he said 10, although I was fully sure that it was going to be a stall out.
I also have to apologize. I keep calling Bertrand, so just the confusion of all these Flemish, Dutch, French, Belgian names.
I think they might be going back to 0 here. Potentially there was a
bump on the mark, I think.
Stalling 6, I believe it's coming in, so I think maybe it's a contested foul. I need to brush up on my rules, knowledge and use.
I definitely heard a 9, and that is a lovely putt, collected excellently in front of the end zone by Esser. Esser continues. We're right on the doorstep. Can Frühsport get another break? Ding. Waits for his mark to approach him. Bertram. Looking for open options. Lovely step around. Breitzmann. Back to Bertram. Ding. And here it is, Weber with the score for his team. He was just waiting for Ding to turn, and that's a break for Frühsport to stay in this rising final.
Yeah, great work there by Frühsport. Like I said, I thought this was the one they would need to get, and I think the next one decides the game. Obviously, if Copenhagen score this, obviously it's game over, but I think if Frühsport score this next point, I'd fancy their chances to get the final one and win it. Great work there by them in a couple of tight spots. Good patience, stuck to their system, and like I said yesterday, I thought they looked good at times, and I thought that Copenhagen at times were maybe not at the same consistency throughout the game, and I think we've seen a flip here, and like I said at the start, 2-point lead for Copenhagen probably would end up leading to the best game for a neutral, and I think that's basically what we could say right now, because that 2 points, if it had gone the other way, it would be Frühsport that would be up by 1 point now, rather than fighting to keep this game alive. So didn't get to the end result the way I thought we would, but we're getting pretty close to the score I would have expected near the end of this game.
So we're getting finally some German support in the chat as well. Welcome, and let us know what you think the result of this game will be. You still have a couple of seconds. I mean, what a pull out of Frühsport. You can 100% say that they are ready to go for this one. Let's see if the other line of the purple shirts are ready to make this point count. Lovies looking for a reset. Anderson is there. Definitely a bit of an upwind point, at least in this half, for Hucks. Good pressure on the resets. Holm finding Anderson, and here is the drop Frühsport have been waiting for. Bertram doesn't know if he's supposed to pick up straight away or just walk around for a bit, maybe smoke a cigarette. There he is. He's gonna go for the break side. Here is the jingle for the start of the next game, but we're not finished with this one yet. Bertram, they need to move forward. Lovely step around for the break. Essa with the inside channel for Bertram. If the man can't finish it here, no one can. 2 players behind him. Stadmeister back to Bertram. Bertram desperately wanting that inside look. That is so unfortunate, but still nothing is lost. They have to play the positioning game right now.
Yeah, it really didn't look like in this passage of play that Copenhagen were going anywhere from once they caught the pull. All they did was go backwards and eventually turn. So again, Frühsport in a good position here, but perhaps a deep shot coming here early in the stall. No messing, who knows?
Anderson, oh my God, such an uncharacteristic error from him. That throw was so difficult to grab, but they somehow managed to keep possession. Now on the far sideline, lots of pressure from the Germans. Much more than in any of the previous points. Anderson is tired of this stuff, but Bertram is underneath it. They both grab it at the same time. No, they don't. He immediately lets go. It's Saro who's got the disc. Oh, there will be a discussion.
I did think as it was coming down, I thought the German Hilaire had position. I did favour him to catch it first, but again, from here, impossible to tell who actually had it first. But I was expecting a D by the German player, so maybe they agreed that they caught it at the same time. Or they're agreeing it's a... I'm unsure. Sure. Okay, it was a turnover, yeah.
They definitely should signal to everyone else just to be sure that everyone is on board and what's happening.
So great work there by the defender to get his hand in there first. And
it's none other than Bertram. It's a lovely forehand. He wants every other disc. Schulze-Brock thinks about the break side pass, but instead gets it for the up line. Hammer throw to open up the play. Is there a continuation? Yes, there is. There you go. Another break for Frühsport. We're tied at 8. What a game.
Yeah, like I said, I think that was the hard one. And now I'm going to have to favour Frühsport to go on and get the other one. Although I feel like the wind has changed, so perhaps we just have the most even of games going into this last point.
10 minutes past the time slot. Everyone else, the women's final is already ready. All the players have gathered on the sideline. They did not expect this game to go to Universe, but this is exactly what's happening. Tied at 8. I think all the Germans need is one more break.
Yeah, I'm looking at the scoreboard on the other side. They do have it as 9-8, but I do believe it's 8-8, as we did seem to confirm it a while ago, but it would be good if they could all confirm here.
I think we're maybe going to run out on the pitch and make sure that they are aware that this is a Universe point. It seems like they know, just the scoreboard is wrong. In any case, let us know in the chat. Oh yes, it looks like we have both sides represented. That is good to know. And game to 9 starts now.
So again, it seems like perhaps some of the players are slightly still unsure what the score is. We have it down as Universe. We're going to treat it like a Universe. And if they end up deciding that Frühsport needs to score 2 more after this one, well then we'll have another Universe point. But in our mind, we believe it's 8-8. It has felt like an eternity since Copenhagen have scored. So let's see how it goes.
Weber establishes the mark and a drop off of the first pass. Nielsen unable to hold on to the disc, and Frühsport deciding to walk to the disc slowly. They want this to hurt. Essa, guarded by Nielsen. To Ding on the far sideline. Habering, back to Ding. No one on the inside channel. Reitzmann, back to Ding. All the way across, Essa. He still gets the round off. Habeling! Into the end zone. But that's a turnover. One more chance. Copenhagen Hucks staying alive. Gannes with the pickup. Swings it towards the middle.
That's the third one of those. He's fumbled and caught.
That's a low grab, but possession kept. Gul. To Müller. Müller back to Gul. Callison sort of baiting that deep shot. They've got the tall frame of Nielsen downfield as well. But Essen staying close. So much pressure from Weber there. The Germans closing in, pushing the Danes deep into their own end zone. This is what I call drama, ladies and gentlemen. Müller. Goal just looking lost in the own end zone. 4 handlers around the disc, but they're not making much progress. High release shot. The defender overbids. Can they use it? Nope. Still stuck in the first part of the field. Gannes to Müller. Offhand, backhand, and here is the push through from Callison, but he won't take the risk this time. Goose. Gul. Blady forehand. That one goes to the turf. But still a long way to go for Frühsport.
Yeah, it's going to be a while here before this comes back in. There's going to be a long walk back to maybe around close to the between the halfway line and the brick mark. I thought Frühsport were going to get a D earlier in the point, but they get a slight bit of a gift on that last one. I did think the player was potentially open, but the throw just difficult, and Frühsport going to get their chance. And as we said, we do believe this is Universe, so they still have the scoreboard different on the other side of the field, but players are running nice and early, even 10 seconds before the disc is back in. They're all excited, and so are we.
It looks like that throw went out of bounds a little sooner than we thought. It's a third turnover in this Universe point already. Essen. Oh, and a low forehand. Ends on the ground. Now this is favoring the Hucks a little bit. I think in the second half of the field they will be going sort of more downwind. And with the height availability that they have on the receivers, all they need is one good use of their name. High release to Müller. Gul. Back to Müller. He's got it on the sideline again. Quick, short passes. They have not worked for them much throughout this game, but maybe they will just do the trick in this last point. 4 turnovers so far on this Universe. It has become a mental game of chess. Kellison and Nielsen trying to get open downfield, but nothing there. A little scoober. But sideline support for Frühsport is somehow still making this work. Pass number 3,400. Gul. Had Callison striking, but chose against it. And now the wind is picking up, making everything so much harder. Big forehand from Müller. And he grabs it, but a stall count will be called, and it's even going to be uncontested. I really did not think that he held it in his hand for that long, but
Yeah, great patience out of the Danes there, though. I was just waiting for something to happen. Something had to give or take. They had showed so much patience and reset the disc just right in front of us here for so long. It just seemed like eventually someone had to throw something, or there had to be a turn. Stall out is basically the same thing. And Frühsport's going to get another chance here now.
One more chance for Esser to show off his handling skills. He's got Weber, but doesn't see him. That is a big break. Ding gets low to collect that one. High throw. Lucky for them, there's another receiver behind Darob, and it's El Kavabi who completes that pass. Ding tried to find Esser in the end zone, but instead it's Müller who gets it. And this big hook has to be completed now. No, it won't. This Rising final, I think the boys have just decided they're not going to let the women play. They can have a 20-minute final if they want.
Yeah, they're just letting everyone else finish their other games and build up the crowds for the women's final. People will start to hear about this universe point that's going to be going on for 2 hours, and the stands will be full. But we're enjoying it here. It's been a good game all along. The teams have been fairly evenly matched despite getting here slightly different paths.
Absolutely nerve-wracking. We hear Esser sort of shout in annoyance as there is a clear poach in the open side, and he's calling for someone to help him crash it, and that's a low throw. And
I feel like that could be it.
This could be it. I'm sure the Hucks fans are hoping for that in the chat. But don't write off the German zone just yet. They have sideline support. Gannes picking up for purple. Müller. Chill one-handed grab. Trying to keep steady.
The one advantage the German zone might have here is the Copenhagen team seem happy to dump it backwards, so maybe just give them a couple of free backwards dumps and get them back into that danger zone again.
Gould to Callison. We see Nielsen slowly making his way to the end zone. He knows that's where he's the most useful. Gould. Looking for a continuation. High release. Luckily Müller's there and a jump in, and that's the game for Copenhagen Hucks. They walk away with victory in the Rising division of the Rising High tournament after a huge battle that took way longer than expected. Frühsport walk away with a loss, but a lot of pride in their hearts and minds, and with a big applause from their fans in the chat. This is the game, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the women's final coming up next. Stay with us, because for now we need to take a quick breather, so we're checking out. Thanks for watching.